The verdict has been handed down in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. WPTV legal analyst Michelle Suskauer joining us here in studio to discuss the end of the trial and the guilty verdict itself. Michelle, thanks so much for being here in studio with us. 30 plus years as a defense attorney. You've seen so many trials, former president of the Palm Beach bar. Your reaction?
Given that that unbelievable video, I'm not surprised that there was a guilty verdict. Even though we haven't really seen lots of guilty verdicts when police officers are charged with crimes. But this particular case was just so different, so compelling, and watching that video is it gives you sort of that visceral feeling. It's very, very difficult to watch, and this jury obviously felt the same way.
So take us through the specific charges, and I know it carries with it, what, 40, 25, 25? Would they run concurrently? How would that play out, Michelle?
Well, and these are great questions. So he was convicted of 3 charges, and all of these are unintentional murder charges. So second-degree murder, and that's 40 years maximum. Third-degree murder, that's 25, and second-degree manslaughter, 10 years. So what the judge has done is, first of all, he remanded Chauvin into custody because he was out. So he left the courtroom in handcuffs, and he is going to stay in custody until sentencing, which is set in 2 months. The court ordered something called a PSI, or a pre-sentence investigation report, and there's going to be able to be input from both sides. And the court is going to be sentencing. And although that doesn't happen here in Florida, actually in Minnesota, where this case is, the jury could have sentenced him, and the defendant asked the court to sentence him. And so the court is really, it's up to the court as to whether these charges are going to run consecutive, concurrently at the same time, whether the judge is going to find exceptional circumstances and sentence him above the Minnesota sentencing guidelines. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens and what the court is going to give him.
You said the tape, as we mentioned, we all know the tape, that key piece of evidence. It really gave the eyes of the world a front row seat, if you will, in this trial. Never before seen pressure on a jury pool. Would you say that?
Unbelievable. Yes. First of all, this was very fast tracked. We don't see cases going to trial this fast. This happened, last May? And this is less than a year. This, obviously, the eyes of the world were on this case and on this jury. And remember, we spent a year alone or in our own little pods with our families, away from everyone. So now we have these 12 folks who were all brought together, had this common experience on this incredibly significant case, this emotional case, 45 plus witnesses, and they're all together making this decision. And they were all sequestered, meaning they were all together during this deliberation process, and they couldn't go home, couldn't watch TV, social media, nothing. And so very, very tough case, very emotional case. We don't know who they are. Do they have the ability to speak to the press, speak to whoever they want now that the case is over? They can. Will they? I don't know.
We have about 15 seconds, Michelle, but I have to ask you, you heard yesterday at the closing, the defense was asking the judge about some comments that had been made in the public and through politicians, and laying the groundwork, it seemed, through his questioning for a possible appeal. Do you expect that?
Well, do I expect an appeal? I absolutely expect an appeal. Could there be grounds regarding what a legislator in, I guess, California said? I don't know whether that's realistic or not, but we will see an appeal in this case.
Michelle Suskauer, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.